If you are looking for a deeper understanding of yourself and the universe, you've been drawn to the right place. I'm your host, Danielle Matthews, and I have Nirmala here with me as well. She is over in Australia. The two of us will be bringing you enlightening conversations that we hope do truly expand your awareness and help you understand more about yourself and the universe. Before we dive into things today, though, I think it's important to just get to know us a little bit. So I want to actually take a moment to introduce Nirmala to all of you. Now, Nirmala has a PhD in integrative health. She's an integrative health practitioner, and she has been able to see sacred geometry since she was a child. Now, she's been able to communicate with this light language and combine that with her unique abilities and knowledge of energy psychology, parapsychology, and decoding techniques so she can teach her clients how to initiate and embrace their own transformation from within. I've been blessed to work with Nirmala for several years, and I'm so excited to be doing this show with her.
Thank you, Danielle. Hi, everyone. Just to introduce our lovely Danielle here. Danielle has a Bachelor of Science. She majored in biology. She's a great trainer, health mentor, and she has a unique experience. It's kind of trauma, but it's a unique experience that this beautiful being has gone through when she went through her brain injury. She's a brain injury survivor. Due to her brain injury, an awakening happened within her that expanded her consciousness. This prompted her to start exploring the truth about who she really is and the mystical world around her. She's now on a mission to share this with the world. And together, we are here today in this podcast to share with you the unique things that we do together. All right. For more information about what we do, I think just look at the description in the video below. All right. Now, I'm just going to jump in and start so that we're not taking too much of time in this podcast because this is our first one that we are doing. And so what we are trying to do here is that every single time, we are jumping into this and we are hopping from one information to another. And me and Danielle have been having so much of communications that sometimes it's like repeated. So I'm doing this again and again with my clients and then with family and friends. And we came into this, we went into a discussion and we understood that, okay, all right, so maybe if we can just do this as a podcast, we might be able to maybe open some, leave some light in someone or give some sort of solution for something, or even give someone some settlement about their life. Yeah. So that's how we started this, and there is our new beginning with this podcast. So we are going to have several discussions about certain case studies or something that I've done with clients and how actually you can open yourself geometrically if you understand what's happening in your life or understanding the purpose of your life or the mission of your life so that you can move forward. We know that we are not going to help everyone. We know that, but at least we can help one or two people through this podcast. We will be delighted. We will be so grateful to the universe if we can do that. All right. So if y'all are ready, we're going to start today on this beautiful journey. All right. Danielle, before I start, do you have anything to add on?
No, we're just really excited, and we've set a beautiful intention here and hope that this connects with you. And of course, ask questions. We're definitely very interactive. So as you see this, put comments below and we'll answer comments as we go through in all of our series with our shows.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So first is first. Now, the work I do is mainly with geometry. I mean, that's the only language I understand. That's the only language that I think I do well than human language. So when I have someone right in front of me who's going through some disease or issues or problems, the first thing that I'm able to interact with is their geometry. Yeah. So just like how Danielle came into the picture years ago when she came in front of me, there was a lot of things that I kind of brought it out to her because I can see that there was a beautiful connection that's already started between us. And I started asking her question about her journey, and she started answering me, which should have been the other way around. So, so it's just started. So I can see that she started with a specific, from childhood, she started with the having this specific space that she's very conditioned with, very patterned with. Everything was beautiful and flowing, and yet there was something missing. Yeah, because we all come here with a mission. We all have something to do. So just like that, Danielle was in her journey. She finished her bachelor. She was just waiting to see what she's going to do, and she was she was teaching. She said, "Okay, her career has already started." Everything was flowing. Yeah. And then an interruption happened in between, right? She was very young. She was only, how old were you, Danielle? You were 21 when you had the accident?
23.
23. Yeah. So she got into a car accident. And through that car accident, there's a lot of things that changed physically, vitally, mentally. She was almost like bedridden. She couldn't socialize. She couldn't move. She was not mobile. A lot of things, and constant migraine, constant pain in the body. And, when the physical body goes into such a turmoil, we know that everything changes. Emotionally, we cannot connect. We tend to get frustrated because that's the first thing we want to throw out, because we don't know how to deal with this physical body, which is going through a pain. So all those kind of things will start happening. Now, when I look at it in a very much in a perspective of a geometry, it is like I look at it as I'm just going to do some diagrams. It's easier for me to explain with diagrams. So I'm just going to bring this a little bit forward. So can you see me clearly, Danielle?
Yeah, I can see perfectly.
Okay, this is going to take me ages to erase this. Sorry, I should have done this earlier. So, okay. Ooh.
While she's doing that, I'll just say, as you're listening, when we're talking about, say, my journey, or we're talking about some other case study of another client, you're going to find yourself in the story, and you're going to find how learning from somebody else, or how this geometry interacts, or what this geometry might be saying about a situation, it's going to click in your mind as to what's happening in your world, and I think give you some aha moments. That's how it's always been. As I've gotten to know Nirmala, as she shares with different people, it opens up and unlocks things within me for me to help understand other dynamics, my loved ones around me, my family, the world at large, honestly. So I'll let you dive into things, ma'am.
Thank you, Danielle. All right, so this is how I see it, right? So it's very, very different from how you all would have learned about geometry, because this is something I learned to communicate with, right? So this is the only communication. So when I see a tetrahedron, like a triangle, all right, so I already know this is the personality, this is the character. So there are different layers when you look at it. When I look at a tetrahedron, there are different layers of frequency, so dimensional. So they can be in a 2D, 3D, 4D, or 5D, or 6D, even though this light language is coming from the 6th dimension. Yeah. The communication with it shows me where they have dropped, where they're standing at this point of time, where they are meant to go, and what is difficult for them to now move. Yeah, what is stopping them, or what is not unfolding for them. So, for example, if I were to look at Danielle's situation, for me, when I saw her, she was, for me, she was more of tetrahedron, but right now she's more of a hexahedron, because she's very grounded, right? So a tetrahedron moment is like this for her. So you know how a triangle would usually, I'm not very good in drawing, so just bear with me, So when you're looking at a triangle, so when you're looking at a perfect 6D space, you will see 6 of this. That means you will see 6 phases of this triangle in this, 4 phases of this triangle in each direction, just like a pyramid, looking at a pyramid, right? So you'll be able to see, when I see something like that, I can see that their dimensional length is already like in a frequency, they're kind of lifted up, all right? I can speak to them in that level. I can speak to them about beings. I can speak to them about anything to do with divine and bliss, I can see that this being is going to understand me. So I'll be able to understand. When I say a pyramid, I'm talking about something like this. Yeah, this is a pyramid. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 phases in it. And then there's a grounding, and that's a hexahedron. Yeah, that's grounding together with it. So, but when I saw Danielle, she was more on a 2D level. So there was a horizon triangle tetrahedron, but she also had more of a flat 2D space. This was also existing within her. Yeah. So when I see that, but the interesting thing is that, okay, whatever I'm explaining here is more on how I'm seeing things in conscious level, right? So that's how I understand, that's how I'm able to tell what is exactly happening in their life and how they need to move forward. So don't try to, Google or find out about this, because this is my light language and this is how I'm understanding things, right? So this is how I'm picking up, I'm phrasing, and I'm doing things, right? So this is totally different. So you can see there was two, when I saw her, she had two phases that was up, two phases that was down, which is very unique, because either I've seen people with completely flat space where they don't have any interactions of such, that means they're more on a 2D, that means everything is now on, they have to be, it's like, it has to be within that flat surface, that means there needs to be a lot of work on lifting this to make it into a complete beautiful polygram. Yeah. So now with her, there was two that was completely flat down. So when I see something like this, that means this being has put so much of effort into lifting itself by herself. That means she's done so much of effort of doing it herself. So it's very powerful. When I look at something like that, it's very powerful. Yeah. So my questions to her was more like, based on these two, where is she now having difficulty with? So when I saw the two flat triangle, that means they are more working on a 2D level. That means it has to what is the word? It has to be more on an energy level that she's still struggling with. That means it's already lifted. Her consciousness is very high right now. That means she says that I'm more powerful. I should be able to now walk out of this. I should be able to relieve myself from this situation or trauma or problem. But the two things that was sitting with her was, can I? Will I? All right. The things that these two tetrahedron that was flat on the 2D level always talks about these two things. Can I? That means emotionally, she is kind of unstable. All right. So there was a bit of instability in her space. Right. So why does people have instability? They already went through a trauma, but now they're trying to get themselves out. What is that the instability? Maybe, Danielle, you can explain a little bit. What was that you felt that was unstable in you?
Yeah, so coming out of that, it felt like I'd been dropped in the woods by myself when that accident happened, because my whole world that I had known left, and it was a lot of internal work. And so for everyone, I've never seen Nirmala draw out what she just did. So it's so interesting for me to process what she sees and how it all unfolded for me. So to explain it in my language, I was inside of myself a lot, and I realized it was an internal job to try and lift me out of what I was in, because I was emotionally drained. I had anxiety, I had depression, I was having panic attacks. And so I made an internal shift. I started expressing gratitude. I started looking for things to be joyful about. I started figuring out, what can I do inside of me to interact and react to the world that had kind of unfolded in a way that I didn't like with the car accident and the brain injury. And so it was this internal shift in my consciousness. But I met Nirmala, gosh, I was, I think, 6 or 7 years out from my car accident when I met you. And what had been difficult was trying to figure out, how do I reintegrate into the world? Because I had shifted so much internally that I didn't recognize myself, if that makes sense. And I didn't know how to interact with the world, because everything had shifted so much for me going through what I went through. My level of awareness of, you know, why we're here, that there is a bigger part of me than my own thoughts. All right. That was the biggest understanding that I had, that, wow, so there is something beyond that. And what is that? And I wanted to explore that. And I had a lot of challenges, you know, internally of like, well, now how do I, like, who are my friends and where should I be spending time and what am I supposed to do in this world? That's where I was struggling, I think, when I met you. It was, you know, trying to figure out, yeah, this new version of me. I guess it didn't quite click with the old version of me.
Yeah. So this is just a process, right? So the flat 2D, standing up to the powerful tetrahedron here, the triangle, right? So I'm just going to make it very simple, call it the triangle. So the flat of the 2D triangles, the tetrahedron, tells me a lot about what's happening in her life. Yeah. When I see that, I already see that, okay, so she's lifted one, that means her consciousness has lifted. It's like somebody who's now from a wheelchair using a support to stand up. She's done that. Okay, so that takes a lot of determination, a life force to do that. She has already done it. For me, it's fantastic. This is easy done because, you know, lifting these two is not a huge problem. Yeah, it's not a huge problem. So when I started connecting to her and understanding that, so how it does is that normally the lifting has to come through a vortex. I'm sorry, I'm going to talk a lot of geometry, and that's the only way I can explain this, okay? So now it's like starting like a sphere, okay? So there I'm starting a sphere here. So to do that, I did several sessions with Danielle, right? So I have to now make sure that this sphere is happening, but I have to be very mindful. Those two triangles have to lift up by this sphere together, not as only one, because I cannot allow her to just move up her emotions, but sit on this separately. You cannot, because you don't forget when the triangle unfolds. I mean, when we are doing the unfolding, the triangles, the tetrahedron have to come together. Then it's a complete, right? I cannot have one. There's two sections already standing still, and I cannot just have one coming up. These two have to come together. Yeah. So the emotional stages that she went through is that, okay, first thing, like anybody else, when they go through some sort of disease, sickness, how many times have we heard somebody who's struggling with cancer? You know, they say that they always thought their support group is going to be the group of friends they always been with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not the case.
No,
it's not their problem. It's not their fault. It's just that they don't know how to relieve you from the pain. You suffer, they suffer. Yeah. Yeah. So friends tends to move away. They tend to move away mainly because they feel like they can't help you anymore. They don't know how to help you. And they are struggling and suffering because of you. So they tend to move away because they don't have the strength. Okay. So there's nothing wrong. It's just that that's how the human journey has been all the time. Yeah. So in any situation, somebody who doesn't have that support or someone who's there next to them all the time, the trigger is the emotion. Yeah. I'm nobody. I'm no one. You know, I'm lost. I'm confused. You can see the pain and you know, the type of things that are going to hit them emotionally, because this is how they're feeling right now, because they find that there's nothing now going to conclude. That means they got no future. They're completely saying, this is done. I cannot go anywhere. I can't move anywhere. And this is the trigger of this emotion. So this fear is all about, you know, bringing them into a space where they know they are beyond all this. Bringing them up here to say they are in a very much high dimension consciousness. Sorry about my handwriting again. High dimension consciousness. Yeah. So to show them that they are here. So during the session, I bring them away from all these things. Even people who have been in a wheelchair, you know, I bring them into a consciousness by making them feel the difference when they can walk, or when they can see, or where they can be away from the pain for that half an hour, 45 minutes or an hour. I bring them into that space. All right. So when I bring them into that space, using the geometry, The geometry is in communication with me. They are the ones showing me how to bring them there. So this is how I find that I have to explain so much of geometry here, because that's what happens. So it's like a sphere that's now pulling automatically. So both these triangles, the tetrahedron, now unfolds together to completely bring this into a completeness. Yeah, to a completeness. While I'm bringing them through this sphere, like it's just moving up. What happens is I find fractals. All right, I find fractals along the way. So these are the fractals will tell me what is happening in this being's life that is now interrupting for it to collapse or to drop to that level of 2D again, instead of lifting. All right, so I pick up the fractals. So when I bring them up there, I make sure that these fractals in communication with them. So the fractals coming together, it becomes a solid grid, right? So I pull up the fractals together in a very positive space and make it a grid for them. So when I say fractals, it's like, it could be in a human language, it would be more like the emotions that they, not because of the accident, but the emotions they're holding from childhood. Something could have happened, auntie could have passed away, or someone would have left them, or something they always wanted, they didn't have it, or it's like someone would have been, it could have been any kind of emotion, or they've been traumatized because someone has scared them. Simple things. It can be simple, it can be difficult, it can be a grief. All this will be telling me a story as a fractals. So while I bring them, I can only be able to find the fractals of their emotions unless I bring them into this sphere when I'm trying to get them up there. So during this period of time, they will face the problems they had. They will face things that they have never mentioned before, right? So I remember with Danielle, when I brought her the first time, it was more of a lot of people being around her, socializing. Yeah, in that space, I still remember that she came up. She told me that she didn't know that she's going to see so many people in that space. Yeah, so you had a lot of emotions in that when you went into that plane to understand what was happening. So the minute she started reacting, the minute she start understanding things are happening, that means there's more chances of now looking forward to. There's a lot of things unfolding in front of her. What happens? This beautiful two tetrahedron would start combining together. They will start lifting themselves automatically because they want to join the grid. They have to join the grid here. So the minute I see they come together, I try to slow down where I'm bringing them, because now from here it's their learning journey. So I help them to put things together. Now the tetrahedron is full. All right. So maybe, Danielle, you can explain a little bit when you came out of the first session, how you felt, or what was the trigger point for you?
Well, I would say what I felt was calm and a steadiness. I mean, I remember, so for everyone, what a session with Nirmala is like, she takes you through a meditation, and I don't know how to explain it other than just being in her presence, just through Zoom. I've never met her in person. This is all that we've done on opposite sides of the world. I'm in the US and she's in Australia. But she was able to just take me to this space where everything was silent. I remember having so many visuals that I was seeing. I remember being like on a stage, Nirmala, with tons of people around. I remember all these different things that we went through. And what blew my mind was at the end of it, you started to tell me about the things that I had seen. And I'm like, how in the world did she see that too? And I remember feeling such a sense of, the only word I have is grounded. It was a grounded clarity. It was like all the chatter, the worry, the anxiety, stuff that had felt heavy on my heart. The mind was quiet, but also like my heart felt opened after the session, and it felt more at peace with me. It was like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like in here. And that's how I felt. I don't really have words other than that was the feeling. And then after that, and continuing to talk to you, you've always like gently nudged me into like applying everything that, now I understand and can see visually what you walked me through, but, applying how I can keep myself in that space, putting a boundary up, to certain people and saying, hey, you're not supposed to be in my world, right? This isn't serving me in this way. And, letting that move on and using my voice to say, no here, yes here, to pull myself out of situations that weren't serving me, put myself in ones that were. It was that sort of guidance that helped me, as you say, on my own learning journey, right? You didn't do it for me. You just kind of were a mirror to me saying, oh, well, look at this. Isn't it interesting with this perspective? And then I would have to go out into, my life and put it all in place, I guess I would say. And that's what it's been like. And so over the years, I have no idea what my geometry to you looks like now. And I have so many questions, like right now what you're seeing, but we'll save that for another time. But it's interesting to kind of witness, how you were able to so easily, because guys, Nirmala was able to she literally told me certain things from my life from childhood. She also told me about things where things were going, and she's been correct. And so I never fully understood this gift of hers and how she communicates with this light language so beautifully, but it's incredibly helpful. And I think we both feel will be really insightful, for all of you as well.
Yeah. Now, I know that we got a bit of a time restraint here, but I'd like to finish this. So, so the emotions that, everything's lifted up and everything's holding together. So now it's just about empowering to go to the highest frequency, the highest level that you can think of in consciousness. So the minute you go into this space, that means you are in a space where your intentions are clear. So the fractals already told me what are the things that is going to stop them from moving forward, because yes, you can go there once. It doesn't mean that you cannot fall again, right? There's all the chances of coming through the sphere, because don't forget that the spheres are there for your experience. The geometry is there for your experience, all right? If you have not learned, they bring you back down again until you learn. That's the experience, all right? So that's the whole experience. It's not here to make negative or positive. No, it's not. All experiences are great, right? All experiences are great. We are here for that experience. So we are going through the experience, but understanding that we are here for this experience to get to here. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Yeah. So the minute we learn that, everything starts unfolding, just like I pushed her a little bit. So when I saw that once the attack happened, everything started folding. And of course, I'm just showing you one aspect of the many I'm seeing. There are other shapes, and also there's I'm also seeing a lot of these as well. So I know that what is the presence when I see ones and zeros, ones and zeros and zeros and zeros and 111, everything coming in. It's just like a computer when you turn it on. A programmer knows what's happening with the binary points when it happens, right? So they know what kind of program. So when I look at that, I know that, who is looking for love or who is looking for something that they have lost for a very long time. That is got nothing to do with the accident, but it's got something to do with something that happened before or prior to that. Yep. So we carry every single emotions that we have not dealt with, or we pushed into our carpet, or whatever that we didn't react to. Everything unfolds in this place because you have a condition. Your physical body is the best way to say, hey, you got pain. Where is this pain is coming from? Emotions, vital, mental, or spiritual? Where is this pain is coming from? Mm-hmm. Right? To integrate yourself. So then from there, the minute I know that, I pushed her a little bit. I know that because she was able to push herself, she has this powerful intention, very clear, very much clarity in her mind that she wants to get better, was so clear because she's already done half the part. She's not a difficult client for because she's already done it. So because she has done it, I pushed her a little bit on the first session itself. I even made her go into her space where she saw herself in the stage. Didn't you, Danielle?
Yes.
Yeah. So when she came back, I still remember having that conversation with her. And she says that I saw a lot of people applause. I went into the stage and, And what was what was your response to that?
I don't remember exactly. I remember wondering, like, what in the world would I ever be talking about? I don't know. What am I doing up there?
And yeah, for Danielle, she was more like she's kind of in a space where she's trapped, and she felt like stage, not me, I don't think so. And that's how she was reacting to me at that very point. I said, don't worry, it's okay, it's fine, but I know it's done, because she went in, she allowed herself. Not everybody can allow themselves to see that far. It's about unfolding, because your geometry is in communication with me, so I know how far I can just stretch it for you to see. So you are doing most of the work. It's not me. I'm just being the guide to show you where things are going. So when she went into that space, she did very well. She came back, I think, I don't know, within 3 months. This girl was everywhere doing speech, becoming coaching and speaking. And then suddenly one day I saw her with this beautiful green dress, and being a huge speaker. She was a public speaker, doing some beautiful motivational talk with a huge group, thousands of people around her. So, and there you go. So what I'm trying to say is, if Danielle can do it, if I can do it, everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just your mental state. It's just getting that help and assistance that you need, right? The geometry is there for you to move through the cycles of your life. And if you're not learning, the geometry will go flat back with you, because it will sit and stay next to you until you learn. That's the beauty. Okay, it's a beautiful guardian, that our guardian, or the geometry is you, right? So it is going to be there until that it provoke certain information again and again in you, so that you can lift yourself up, or one day can step away from that and understand, if I'm more than this, what is that I'm missing? What is it lacking in my life that I need to conclude to come to that completeness? All right. So this is just a brief explanation on the sacred geometry that that I work with in regular basis. And please excuse my diagram again. I'm not a good artist, but this is what I'm saying. So it's your thought form of the universe is what the sacred geometry is all about. This is what you think, and this is what you become. We always talk about that, right? So if you can step away from your issues and problems and think and become a witness to it, and say and clearly create that whatever you're having, if it's a black box that you don't want in front of you, emotionally remove yourself, and then consciously take it and remove it. Consciously just take it and remove it, right? You will see slowly all these issues and problems that's right in front of you will be physically removed away from you. But you have to have the thought, the clear intention before you can do that. All right. So if you have any questions, please, as Danielle mentioned, you can ask us any questions in regards to, we prefer to have some scenarios or case studies without mentioning your names, so that I can go into that aspect of it and explain to you what is exactly happening, how things are happening in your life, and where is the interruption is. I can kind of geometrically do that for you. But if you can, if you have any questions in that regards, write to us, send us some questions, and maybe in our next session we'll be able to discuss about it. All right.
Yeah, beautifully said. I know this kicked up 1,000 questions for me. I hope that it did for you all as well, and I can't wait to continue the conversations with all of you. And mostly we just want to help create awareness within yourselves, so you can understand yourself better, understand this journey that we're on here, having this human experience. And to close things out, I'll just say this: never forget the single truth. You are more than your thoughts, and this secret, once known, will unlock everything for you. And we want to welcome you to this community of spiritual beings, all looking to amplify their human experience. And we're grateful to you for tuning in. And remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications for when we're on next. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Thank you.